Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Ooh, we have a lot of attendees so far. Um, Thank you so much for coming to the webinar today. My name is Charisse Bennet. I am one of the admissions advisors for the Masters in Counseling program here at Divine Mercy. Thank you so much for coming. A brief introduction of myself. My name is Charisse Bennet. I actually have a bachelor's in engineering from Carnegie Mellon University. Those in Pennsylvania would know this university. And I also received my master's in psychology from Divine Mercy University. Now, note this is the master's in psychology, not the master's in counseling. But the other master's program that we have, I graduated from there 2 years ago. Wow. So we'll go ahead and get started. I will be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you so much for coming in. Again, this is for the Master's in Counseling webinar for Divine Mercy University. Thank you so much for entering your information on the chat. And we'll go ahead and get started. So this is the webinar for Masters in Counseling, Divine Mercy University, 5 reasons to earn a master's degree in counseling. We have a lot of great information for you today. So even if, let's say, there's too much information here today, you want to ask more information, my information will be at the end of the webinar. If you want to contact me for more information, happy to do so. For now, I'm also going to put my email address in the chat. That way, if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me. Happy to help. So first and foremost, welcome to Divine Mercy University. DMU is a Catholic institution comprised of 2 schools. We were founded in 1999 as the Institute for the Psychological Sciences. I heard about IPS when I was still in college back in the day. So that's actually how I heard about Divine Mercy University a while back, was as IPS. And then in 2014, the Institute launched the Master's in Psychology program. And then the following year launched a Master's in Counseling. So with 2 different schools, we have upgraded to university status as Divine Mercy University. And we're dedicated to the scientific study of psychology with a Catholic Christian understanding of the person, marriage, and family. Accreditations are very important to us, of course. First off, we are institutionally accredited by SAC-COC. That is the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. Now that's through the Department of Education, and it's a regional agency. So SAC-COC deals with the southern side of the US, all the way from Texas to Georgia. So other schools that are accredited by SAC-COC include University of Texas, all the way down to University of Georgia, Auburn, all those great universities down south. And we are also, of course, accredited through CACREP. CACREP is the accrediting body for the LPC licensure. This is very important if you're looking to be licensed in your state, either as a clinical mental health counselor or LPC. Our program is CACREP accredited. And not only that, our education meets the standards of all 50 states. So whether you're in Hawaii, all the way down to Florida, Maine, all the way back down to California, our program fits those educational requirements for those states. Thank you so much, Maureen. Maureen living in Massachusetts. Thank you so much for coming in. So what makes DMU unique is our focus on psychology and counseling. We like to view the whole person. Now we have this wonderful textbook. It's actually about this thick, but don't worry, it's actually not that scary. It's called The Catholic Christian Mental Model of the Human Person, and you can actually get it on Amazon. Now, if you are actually very website savvy, you can actually find the first 2 chapters for free on the website. If you find the Catholic Christian Mental Model page on our website, you get the first 2 chapters free. It's very accessible. It's a wonderful book because what we really want to teach is the whole view of the person. We view each person theologically, philosophically, and psychologically. Essentially, we are made in the image and likeness of God, but we have rational thoughts and emotions. But then how does that play into vocations and living a virtuous life? How can we flourish in light of that? So this university is really dedicated to the renewal of the Catholic Christian intellectual tradition, as well as really the Catholic view of the human person. That's really what makes Divine Mercy unique. So the number one reason, of course, you're interested in this Master's in Counseling program is if you want to be a licensed professional. So with this master's in counseling, it's designed to meet the educational requirements for the professional counseling licensure. So LPC in most states to prepare students for a career as a professional counselor. There are, I think, about 10 states that might need like an extra course, but those courses are still offered through Divine Mercy. All of that is actually listed on the counseling Masters in Counseling website um, on our webpage. So how this typically works is KCREP requires at least 60 plus hours to get your master's degree in counseling. Then you can sit for the licensing exam in your state. And at Divine Mercy University, 100% of our students who graduate from our program also pass their licensing exam. So that's a great graduation rate and a great pass rate for the LPC test, right? And that's something you really want to look for if you're looking at other schools for a master's in counseling program. One, the KCRAP accreditation, their graduation rate, as well as their test pass rate. So after you pass the test and you gain your licensure in your state, then you are provisionally licensed for another about 2 years. Now every state's slightly different. For example, I am in Texas, and you have to do another 2,000 hours of supervision before you're a fully licensed LPC, and that approximately takes about 2 years of full-time LPC work. It'll just vary per state. But then afterwards, you can start your own practice. You can work online. There are so many ways you can utilize this licensure. So definitely look into what your state states about how long the whole process takes, what the test is like, what other requirements you would need. But we are here to assist you through that process. Now, another reason to gain this master's degree, so really we have a lot of practical experiences. So first off, we have 3 in-person residencies. Now, the majority of the program is online. We do have in-person requirements. So about once a year, there's a 4-day weekend. We call those residencies. They start from a Wednesday evening through Sunday afternoon. And honestly, it's really fun. It's great to meet other counseling students. It's great to meet the faculty members. There's a lot of food. Don't worry about that. But it's also a great time to do those counseling skills, the things that you can't even learn online. Of course, as a counselor, you want to be able to interact with people, right? So the residencies also really bring that great cohesion within the cohort. So yes, we do have in-person requirements, but about a once a year, 4-day weekend, and there is a cost associated with that, and that's part of your tuition. And that residency cost covers training, hotel, and most meals. So as long as you're able to fly up to Sterling, Virginia once a year, awesome. Now, we also have the practicum internship, which is part of the program. The practicum consists of 100 hours, basically, for you to learn how your internship site works, like even where's the bathroom, how do we log, what's the system like, and which you're already going to start direct services with actual clients. So that's about 40 hours of direct services. So 100 hours in a practicum, and then 2 internships follow that practicum. Each internship is 300 hours and 16 weeks, and that each of them consists of 300 hours. So in total, practicum internship hours is 700. Now, students are responsible for securing that practicum site and internship site. They are not necessarily the same site, I mean, but generally students would pick the exact same site for both practicum and internship. And not only that, 100% of our students get placed in an internship site. So other schools, other programs tend to require you to stick with a clinic that is partnered with that program. But here at DMU, we encourage you to locate research clinics that are not only in your area, so it's of course local to you, but secondly, more geared towards the area of interest we're interested in, right? So let's say you're interested in marriage and family. We would help you locate other marriage and family clinics in your area, and we would work with you to approve this site to get it so that you can use it as your internship site. But a lot of students really just focus on what the area of interest in and find a internship site that relates to that. So we have a director of internships that will assist and provide oversight to help you locate and secure these internship sites. Okay. Oh, I meant to say in the beginning that if any of you have any questions, feel free to put it in chat. I will try to answer along the way, but I will just keep going unless there's questions. But feel free to state in the chat if you have anything. And of course, we have experienced faculty here at DMU. Dr. Eric Perry here is the program director. He actually also came from, he also got his PhD from Duquesne University, I think, in Pittsburgh. So there's a few Pennsylvania people in the chat in the webinar today. So it's amazing. We also have Dr. Keys and Dr. Sharp, who are both directors of internship and training. Of course, and if you look for the Center of Trauma Studies on our webpage, Dr. Keys is the director for that. We also have professors here like Dr. Deliaco. He's actually in the Philippines. So we also have a lot of international professors as well, and of course Dr. Humes here. All of our faculty members love to hear from counseling students, so their biographies are actually on our webpage. And if there's any one of them that you wanted to contact, they love to hear about prospective students and help you through this process. So of course, number 4 to earn this master's degree is to increase your employment and salary opportunities. So with the LPC licensure, you're actually able to have a broader scope of counseling. Because, for example, in this slide particular is a small batch of, is a small sample of what our alumni have gone into after graduating from DMU. So clinical mental health counselor, you can do marriage and family, you can do rehab, grief and trauma, substance abuse. There's so many ways you can utilize this LPC licensure. For example, I know I usually get the question about what if I just want to do marriage and family and you just want the licensed marriage and family therapy? Well, let's say what happens if you've encountered a grief or a trauma situation. You'd have to outsource them to a trauma counselor. Um, so, so with the LPC licensure, you're able to really cover a lot more detail, a lot more clients under your belt. So a lot of great salary opportunities here for mental health counselors. Not only that, I believe every year mental health counselors are on the rise, job market wise. So it's really great. However, salary, of course, is really dependent on the need in your area. So definitely look at like career trends, this little website down here for mental health counselors. And I mentioned earlier, we are an online program, an online hybrid program. So you really have the opportunity to learn anywhere, anytime. While a lot of the work is asynchronous, meaning every week you have the opportunity to work on the classwork as needed. There are weekly due dates, so as long as you're able to really be flexible during the week to complete those assignments, that's no problem. The counseling courses, of course, require some synchronous times. So those are prearranged times for students to meet online with other students or the professors. Now, obviously, we have students all over the US, but they tend to arrange those times based off of region. So we have students in California meeting with other Washington State students, for example, and all of those in the East Coast would meet usually at the same time. They tend to be very cognizant of that kind of issue. And what I love about this, I was again a graduate of the other program, master's in psychology, but I know Canvas, which is the learning management system. I can access Canvas wherever. I remember when I was on a cruise ship, I was on vacation and I forgot to turn something in. I was able just to log on to Canvas while on the water. As long as I had internet, I can still turn things in. So you're able to really access Canvas anywhere, anytime. And it's great to just have that flexibility. While you can still also work while earning a degree as well. We have students that do part-time student load and are able to work and be a student at the same time. Of course, it'll take a little bit longer to complete the program, but they're able to work both at the same time. So if you're interested in in applying, here are the general acceptance requirements to be in the program. First, you must have received a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited, meaning one through, let's say, for example, SAC-COC through the Department of Education, or an internationally recognized school. We would need official transcripts from that from that institution. And international students, if you have received it from an internationally recognized school, you're responsible for any transcript evaluations and translations as needed. A minimum overall 3.0 GPA scale now, or a 3.0 in the applicant's major field of study, or a minimum 3.0 GPA in the last 60 credits. I know that's a lot, but really minimum 3.0 GPA is required. If it is below 3.0 GPA, you would have to request a GPA waiver. There is still a possibility to be able to get into the program that way, but you would have to state the reasons why, as well as what your plan is to improve your to make sure you keep the 3.0 GPA, which is the minimum requirement to graduate with this master's degree. So unfortunately, you do have to take the GRE. The GRE is the standardized test for graduate schools. So luckily, though, unfortunately, you have to take the test, but luckily, right now there is no score cutoff. So you can take the GRE as best as you can. We're really more focused on the verbal and the writing section. I know probably some of you maybe have not done geometry in a decade, and that's perfectly fine because we're really looking at your verbal and writing scores. Because the majority of the work that you're doing outside of talking and practicing counseling skills is paper writing, APA style paper writing. So those are, again, verbal and writing scores are more important. Other than that, other admissions documents include a letter of recommendation, resume, personal statements. You must complete all of that as well as the financial package. So the great thing about DMU is that we do one-on-one meetings with financial aid. Once we get an application, financial aid will try to set up a meeting with you to determine all scholarships and grants available to you. Then there's also a secondary admissions interview after all these documentation is submitted. So the total investment into your degree and your licensure is listed here, $953 per credit. And there are 66 credits in this program. There's a $50 tech fee per class, 1 lab fee, and 3 residence fees for a total of $69,323. But of course, that's not all up front. You pay per semester, and not only that, it's spread out throughout time, right? You're not going to do all 66 credits in the first year. So there are many ways to make grad school more affordable. Of course, those who qualify for federal aid can apply for student loans. Definitely check with your employer if there's any tuition reimbursement, and as well as we are approved for veterans funding. If you have a GI Bill, we are also an approved Yellow Ribbon School. So this is a really great way to fund your education if you have any approved veterans funding. We have a whole list of scholarships and grants. Now, the best scholarship we can offer is the Merit Scholarship, which is a competitive up to 50% tuition discount. So there's a list of requirements, and you can just read them up on our scholarships page here. Ways of alternate funding for, of course, our private funds. There are a lot of nonprofits that can match funds. For example, here in Texas, I already forgot the name. Sorry, my mind's kind of blank. But there are a lot of nonprofits in your area. Check with your diocese. Check in your area for any nonprofits that can match funds. We have in my city, there's a particular Catholic nonprofit that will match funds as long as you're able to prove that it's a Catholic institution and you're Catholic yourself, you're a practicing Catholic, and what you plan to do with it. So definitely research a lot more grant programs in your area. And this is something I did when I was a student, which were cash plans. So you can set up monthly interest-free payments through the school. And that's interest-free, which I thought was really great. I also worked while I was completing my degree, so I wanted to work and fund my education at the same time. With the monthly payment plans, it hit the wallet a little bit less with the monthly payment plan. So definitely that's something we can do just through the school. Now, this is a very interesting program. I've never heard about this until I became an admissions here, which is the National Health Service Corps. If you Google this name, it should be the first thing that pops up. But once you graduate with a degree and you're already working as an LPC, so this is more of a retroactive thing, up to $50,000 towards tuition costs can be covered after serving in an area designated either low income or underserved. So this is actually a really great federal program. look into their programs. There's actually, I think, a map on the website where you can determine you can figure out which areas are low income or underserved. And that's really great if you want to work in that area, working with the homeless, giving up some of your time, definitely look into this program. So there are many ways to make grad school affordable. We also have a lot of partnerships with many Catholic organizations out there. St. Paul's Outreach, SPO, Focus, Legatus, Teach for Christ, Regnum Christi. We also have partnerships with certain dioceses like Diocese of Austin or Charleston, Oklahoma City. So definitely, and also of course, certain universities we've partnered up with like Belmont Abbey and Ave Maria University. Definitely look into what kind of partnerships we have. It's all listed again in our financial aid page on our website, and feel free to look up whether or not you have any partnerships, because those are really wonderful tuition discounts for those who have been part of those organizations. So in general, again, this is the MSc acceptance requirements. Must have received a bachelor's degree, minimum 3.0 GPA, must take the GRE, as well as a couple more things, resume, personal statements, and letter of recommendation. And then there is an interview process, one with me as your admissions counselor, and another one with a faculty member and another group of applicants. So that's a group faculty interview. Once you complete that interview process, we would let you know as soon as we know whether or not you're admitted into the program. So I'm seeing that there's no questions in chat. Hopefully I am making this fairly clear for y'all. If I have made anything unclear or not emphasized enough, please feel free to add it in the chat. But definitely think about whether or not is this master's in counseling degree the right path for you. Do you have the desire to help the whole person, to help heal the whole person, help people flourish? Oh, hello, Lucy. Thanks for coming in. Do you want a career that enables you to answer the question, how can I help people? What can I do to make a positive contribution to other people's lives? Can you be an instrument of healing? And can you commit to the successful completion of the program if accepted? If you've done previous graduate work done, is a GRE still necessary? We would have to look at your graduate transcripts to see if we can apply for the GRE waiver. So yes, if you've done graduate level work before and the GPA is acceptable, we would take your graduate transcripts and apply for the GRE waiver. So it is possible so that you don't have to take the GRE. Have you had anyone complete this while living abroad? We've had U.S. students complete this while they're abroad, but again, as long as they're able to come back for the in-person residencies, that's generally no problem. But remember that this program is generally geared to for the U.S., right? We are made for state requirements, meaning the state requirements. So, but we've had students living abroad to complete this. Oh, sorry if I missed how long is the program. Oh, I've never even mentioned that. So, if you are doing a full-time load, which is 2 classes at a time, it would take right under 3 years. I think 2 years and 9 months. If you are taking part-time, especially for those who can't dedicate full-time load, who are still working and still want to work during this program, it takes about 4.5 years. Okay. So from 3 to 4.5 years, really just depending on how fast you want to complete. Now, of course, we do have students, for example, that want to be able to shift up to 2 classes or shift down to 1 class. That's perfectly fine. As long as you're able to get it approved through the directors, that's really no problem. If a GRE was written years ago, is it still valid? I think you have had to have taken it within the past few years for it to still be valid. Do you have any examples of how part-time students working full-time in another field have completed practicum internship requirements? So the part-time students, they're only taking 1 class at a time, right? So if they are doing their internship classes, that's the only thing they're doing. They're adding in about another 20 hours on average a week to complete their internship hours, but that's just on average, right? Some students can work a little bit longer, as long as they're able to meet the hours before the class is over. It is still possible to do that. So do keep that in mind if you're still choosing to work full-time. You would have to tack on a couple of extra hours every week just to complete your internship hours. What's the minimum number of courses to take at the start of part-time studies? So part-time load is only one class at a time. So let me see if I can explain this. 66 credits divided by 3 credit hours is 22 classes. So 22 classes. At DMU, we have 8-week courses, which we call terms. So 8-week courses, we have terms. And we have 5 terms in an academic year. So we have 2 terms in the spring, 1 in the summer, 2 in the fall, 5 terms possible in an academic year. So if you're taking just one course at a time, it'll take about 4.5 years to complete the 22 courses. But if you're taking full load time, which is 2 classes at a time, just under 3 years. Okay. On average, each class is about 15 hours of work a week. Really depends on how well you write, how well you absorb the material. For example, I've known fellow students who can finish all the work in just a couple of hours, great on them. But for me, as I mentioned, I was an engineer. I had barely written in my life and I needed more time. So it really just depends. Do you recommend applicants who have no graduate experience in psychology to have course? It's not necessary because we believe that psychology and counseling is applicable to any background. So no, you do not need to take any like pre-courses in psychology to be able to do this, because even the first course is an intro to counseling and an intro to psychological sciences. So not needed. I should mention that the undergraduate degree itself does not need to be psychology or counseling or anything related. We have students from engineering to teaching to finance wanting to change their careers, and that's what makes this program really great too, is that you don't need to have all that foundation just to start this program. You want to be a counselor, you want to help heal people, you can just start as long as you have an undergraduate. Any other questions while I'm here? Hopefully I'm answering everything well. Are there 3 different, yes, times in the year that we can start the program? Or deadlines for each date? Oh my gosh, the deadlines for each date. Okay, so we just passed the deadline for summer, which was May 5th, which was yesterday. That summer, we have 3 starts every year, January, May, and August. And you are thinking about at least 3 weeks prior to start for the deadline. So the next deadline we have is August, first week of August. I apologize, I don't know the date. First week of August, because the next start that we're working on is August 20th. For those who are interested in the application process, there is an application online to complete. It takes about 15-20 minutes to complete. I will also give you the code to waive the application fee if you give me a couple more minutes to get to the next slide. Begin the financial aid process, submit all the required documents, and then complete your interviews. Accepted applicants will be admitted, and then of course classes begin August 20th. So think about the first week of August to get all your things in. But honestly, the longer you wait, the longer you may not get a slot in for that interview. So if you're going to wait until August to apply, hoping you still get in on August 20th, that will be the probability will be lower and lower as you wait. Interview slots fill up fairly quickly. So go ahead and start this application if you're interested. Here on the bottom here is the code to waive the application fee. Thank you so much for coming in today. I'm not ending anything yet. But here's the application fee waiver, CCMMP 1999, if you're interested in applying. Are there 3 different, no, I already answered. Are there any neuroscience type classes focusing on the complexities of the brain and nervous system? There is one required course on the brain, and there is one. So I don't particularly remember what it was called in the Master's in Counseling program, but for sure there is one on the brain. Generally, it's a class on how it's generally a class about motivation, emotions, how parts of the brain works, etc. So yes, there is one class on that. The rest of the classes are generally mainly more counseling, and there's a handful in theology. Okay. Hopefully everyone wrote down this waiver. Can you audit courses? Yes, you can, but remember that it wouldn't be for credit. If you do audit a course, you will have access to material. You won't be graded on anything, but you won't get any credit for it either. So definitely think about whether or not you really want to audit a course. Can any undergrad classes be counted towards the program? No, so no undergrad courses can be transferred in. That's an accreditation issue. They have to be graduate level courses in order to be transferred in. And we are a graduate school. We don't have any undergrad programs, so we can't transfer any undergrad courses. If you do want to transfer any courses, maybe something you've taken, it has to have been in the past 5 years for it to count. If you want, please feel free to jot down my phone number here, jot down my email address. If you want to schedule a quick call with me, actually, I should write that down. If you want to schedule a meeting with me, here you go. I'm happy to help you answer any more questions that you have. What are the dates for the fall residency? The fall residency is October 9 through 12, I believe, mid October, Wednesday evening through Sunday. Perfect. Are there any other questions while I'm here? I'm happy to answer. I'll hang on for a couple more minutes, but I really just want to thank you for your time. Hopefully I've explained things. There's so much to learn, so much to know about the program, but I'm of course happy to do one-on-one time with you. Oh, yes, yes, that full academic calendar is also available online. Awesome. Yes, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you so much for coming. Anybody else have any questions? Again, I'll be here for a few more minutes and then feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you so much, Moira, Anna, Maureen, Roger. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Thank you, Mari, Lucy, Jorge, David, Father Eric. Thank you so much for coming. Happy to help you in any other way. Thanks for coming. Have a great day. So you can audit courses, but I think you can only audit certain courses. You'll have to get that approved through through the program director. And Dottie, I think I'll reply to you about audits. I'll make sure to make a note of that for you. I think there's only a handful of courses that you can audit. I will get back to you on that. Any other questions? No, I think a lot of people have left. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Lawrence. Thanks for coming. Have a great day.